So today's Monday. So it's been, uh, I guess, less than 48 hours since the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Um, but I wanted to give you some updated information. I didn't tell a great deal of information the night of it because I didn't know most of it. Um, Trump rally shooter identified as 20-year-old Pennsylvania man. The man who authorities said attempted to assassinate former President Donald Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania was a member of a local gun club and worked as a dietary aide at a nursing facility. Shooter identified by the FBI as Thomas Matthew Crooks, 20, of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania, was killed by at least one Secret Service sharpshooter, authorities said. Crooks was a registered Republican, according to Pennsylvania voting records, but he also appeared to have made a $15 donation to the Progressive Turnout Project on Inauguration Day in 2021, according to the Federal Election Commission records. Now, a friend of mine, he was telling me, I think he saw something which seemed to indicate that Crooks didn't actually donate this $15. It was donated by someone of the same name who lived in the general area. I don't have the story on that though. Just laying that puzzle piece down. If I do find that story though, I'll definitely make a video about it. Corey Comperator, 50, a former chief of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Company, was identified as the sole victim fatally shot by Crooks during Saturday's attempt in Butler. Two other people were injured and are stable. Shooter used a semi-automatic rifle, 3 senior U.S. law enforcement officials said, based on what was found at the scene. Investigators are looking into whether the gun belonged to his father and had been purchased legally, according to 2 senior law enforcement officials. He's believed to have fired 8 shots before he was taken down, said an official, citing preliminary findings. Multiple suspicious canisters or containers were found in the shooter's vehicle, but it's unclear whether they were functional as incendiary or explosive devices, 2 officials said. Crooks' family is cooperating with the investigation. His motives remain unclear, said a senior law enforcement official who was briefed on the matter. The Defense Department confirmed that Crooks had no affiliation with the U.S. military. He was a member of the Clairton Sportsman Club in Pittsburgh. The facility has various shooting ranges, including a 200-yard rifle range, as well as pistol ranges and indoor and outdoor archery ranges. So there's a lot to unpack about this situation. It's hard to keep everything straight, but I'll do my best. First and foremost, love and support to the families of the one man who was killed and the 2 who were injured. Now, as the article said, the 2 that were injured are stable now, so that's positive news. But again, love out to their families. Those innocent rally goers should not have been shot. That wasn't right. And I feel, of all the people in the situation, I feel the worst for them and their families. So there's also a lot of talk about how is this going to affect, partisan politics going forward? Is it going to, some people would say, oh, it's going to make Trump win the election. It's going to get him a lot more votes. Others are saying, no, it'll kind of blow over in a couple election cycles because, he wasn't fatally injured. So it wasn't, in that argument, I guess they would say it's not a big enough event to win him the election. I don't really have an opinion on that at the moment. I think it could go either way. That photo like I think that will. I mean, the photo that was taken, it'll like go down in American history books. I mean, it was a talking about this one right here. This will go down in history books because I mean it was the photographer just somehow managed to get the perfect photo in the situation. um, the perfect photo that will lend itself to the mythology, particularly among his supporters for oh, months to come. Um, I mean, he's pumping his fist. Of course, you see the video. In the video, he's mouthing words "fight, fight, fight," and American flag in the background, Secret Service swarming around him. Like, I mean, and unfortunately, that is a cool photo. So optically, that looks good for him. Um, Now, it is very hard for me. I mean, I try to be very careful with my words here. It is hard for me to feel a great deal of sympathy for Donald Trump in this situation. Um, I mean, he is a human being. So, to the extent that all, men are my brothers and women are my sisters and non binary people are my siblings, to the extent that we're all one big human family, I can sympathize. I can empathize. Uh, However, um, Trump has incited violence, and Trump has encouraged violence, and has exhibited incendiary rhetoric for a really long time now. Um, so it it's hard to. I get frustrated. I'll put it like this. I get frustrated with the people right now online who are being like, "Oh my god, violence is always wrong." Ah, and then they get super, emotional. This is a president of the United States. We all must stand together as one people. We're Americans. I mean, like one, they're just pulling on people's heartstrings. They're appealing to emotion there. Um, but also like the right makes fun of violence when it happens to Democrats. I mean, they made fun of um, what happened with Nancy Pelosi's husband. They downplayed January 6th. And I mean, as I said, Trump has made comments. I mean, he talks out of both sides of his mouth, but he's made comments that imply, maybe a little violence would be a good thing. Maybe we should rise up a little, Second Amendment people, So, I mean, to some extent, he's become a victim of his own rhetoric, right? He's. I mean, he survived, but like he very nearly got killed, in part due to his own rhetoric. I mean, as I said in the last video, I do worry this is a harbinger for greater violence, and that we're going to be seeing more and more political violence in the near future. I mean, dear God, I hope not, but I think it's probably likely, and that's scary. And it's also going to be scary. I mean, it's going to be scary to see how the right tries to spin it. Again, this kid was a registered Republican. Some of his classmates apparently said, when political issues came up, he was always espousing conservative opinions. He was a big, gun nut. I think I heard he had like a gun, a firearm, a YouTube channel devoted to firearms. Of course, we don't know his motives, but he could have just been, crazy, or not a depressed, mentally ill young man who somehow got in his head a head that he needed to kill a former president. But back to let me square this away. This is going to be a longer video. I'm so sorry. Circle back around to my other points. It is going to be hard. It's concerning to see that the right is going to use this as fodder for their narrative. I think they're already selling T-shirts with that photo, so they're already going to be making money off of it. There was a gentleman, and of course I forget his name off the top of my head. There was an interview with a Republican politician who was saying, like, the media, he was blaming the media for this. He was like, the media and their incendiary rhetoric against Trump, it led to this. So, I mean, they're going to find people to blame. I mean, it'll be a little harder now, again, with this kid being a Republican and all, but they're going to try to find other people to blame. And so right now it's the media. God knows what else it'll be. And I worry, Kyle Kulinski made this point, the media is going to go softer on Trump, I think. And they already go soft on him. Even when they go hard, they go soft on him. That's the thing. And I very much worry that the media is going to treat Trump with kid gloves, because they might internalize this idea. Oh no, did we contribute to this with our criticisms against Trump? Which could help Trump in the long run. And because we don't need the media to go easy on Trump, the media needs to go harder on Trump. But they're probably going to go easier on him because of this, because it's going to make him look more sympathetic. And then, I had another point and I lost it. Shoot. Gosh darn it. I think that was roughly it. Yeah, man. I mean, it's. I worry for the state of this country. And this just seems to be, I mean, and then there's plenty of other things you could talk about, our inability to properly deal with people who have mental health issues, our toxic gun culture in this country, the damaging effects of toxic masculinity. I mean, there's layers upon layers upon layers of the situation that you can unpack. But I just worry that this will that could benefit the right in the long run. It might not. We'll see. As with everything with Trump, there always seems to be a cartoonish element to people's actions. And the young man apparently was just a terrible shot. Apparently lacked even though he was a gun nut, he apparently lacked a lot of information about guns. So I mean, there's a level of there's a degree of a layer of absurdity to the situation. But yeah, I mean, like I said, my heart does go out to the man who was killed and the two people who were injured and their families. That wasn't okay. There's no excuse for that. But it's harder for me to feel sympathetic towards Donald Trump. And that's not the polite thing to say, right? That's not the polite thing to say, right? You couldn't say that on mainstream media, right? Again, the narrative was we all need to stand together. We're all Americans. Trump's a human being. We should support him. But I have to be honest with you guys. I can't follow that narrative. This doesn't change anything. politically, or it doesn't change anything in terms of the moral calculus or the political calculus. Um, Trump is no better of a candidate now than he was before this event. He's not no better of a person now than he was before this event. And again, the situation didn't change for me. I'm still vehemently anti-Trump, and I still want to make sure that he doesn't win in November.